You're hearing a lot of opinions and emotions about guns and school shootings, but tonight we want to talk about the facts and give you some perspective ahead of tomorrow's March for Our Lives.
School shootings drive headlines and dominate our fears. Yet statistics tell us our schools remain relatively safe. A few years ago, the National Center for Education Statistics concluded 98.7% of all homicide victims between the ages of 5 and 18 died not inside of a school, but outside of one. In 2016, car crashes killed 668 times more children than school shootings. Not that anyone should consider any act of violence inside a school insignificant. It's just that context remains critical. To date, the deadliest attack inside an American school is likely an attack you know little about. 1927, Bath, Michigan. There, a school board treasurer placed dynamite inside the town's school. The explosion killed 44, a number that included 38 children. 13 years later, South Pasadena Junior High's principal shot and killed 5. The first mass school shooting to garner national headlines. The first of what would become many. Our criteria count cases involving shooters who opened fire on many on school grounds. 1956, Prince George's County, Maryland, 1 killed, 2 injured. 1961, Denver, Colorado, 1 killed, 1 injured. 1966, Austin, Texas, 16 dead, 32 injured, when a former student turned into a sniper on top of the University of Texas clock tower. We counted 4 in the 60s, 5 in the 70s, 16 in the 80s, 16 in the 90s, a number that includes the shootings in and outside of Colorado's Columbine High School, 31 between 2000 and 2009, 62 since then. A trend, yes, but an incomplete story nonetheless, considering some of the upward tick can be attributed to the fact that the FBI only began tracking school shootings right around the time the numbers spiked. In other words, our list was bound to include more recent cases. Wanting a better analysis, we came up with a second list involving only the school shootings that fell under the current federal definition of mass killing, a definition that says 3 or more killings in a single incident. Here, our list shrunk to 32 cases. In the 72 years before Columbine, we counted 15, with a noticeable increase in frequency starting in the 90s. Since Columbine, 16, or 1 every 1.2 years, a nearly annual reminder of a school's vulnerabilities. Wanting to know more, we looked for patterns as well. Here's what we found. Of the 32, 78% involved a former or current student. All but 1 involved a male shooter. All but 2 involved a lone gunman. Of the cases where we could track the guns used, only 3 involved an illegally purchased or stolen weapon, although in 6 cases guns were taken from a family member. 17 shootings ended in an arrest, 13 ended in suicide, and police killed 2. In all but 3 cases, we found warning signs identified prior to the murders, like the shooter in Virginia Tech who 2 years prior was deemed in imminent danger by a judge, or the shooter at a school in California who had been the subject of a domestic violence call the day before the attack. Reminders that we can do more to prevent something that's happening more frequently, something that's driving even more headlines, dominating even more fears, knowing full well they remain, thankfully, rare.